All right, so this equation wants us to solve for a particular variable. If you notice, there are three variables in this equation. There's a k, there's an r, and there's an s. They want us to solve for r. Now, usually when we solve, we're trying to find a value. In this case, we're just trying to isolate for our variable r and have it equal to an expression. So we're not going to actually find a value like 5 or 6 or 20, 22.3. There will not be a value. We just want to isolate. So once again, just to help with it, isolate means we want everything on one side, everything other than the r on one side and everything else on the other. So give me some space over here. I'm going to move this over here. All right. So we want to get this r by itself. So the first thing we're going to do is deal with this term that doesn't have the r. And it's a minus 11s, or a minus 11 times s. So since the s is not the variable that we're dealing with or that we want, we treat this term as a constant term. So what we're going to do is actually cancel the whole term, not just the 11, because usually when we have a number and a variable next to each other, we try to divide and get the variable by itself. But we want this variable just to be canceled as well. So we are going to add 11s to the minus, or the subtraction of s, so that 11s, so that they cancel. And whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. So I'm going to add the 11s over here on the left side. Now, a confusion is when we add 11s to the left, we're going to actually try to add the k and the 11s, but we can't, because they're not like terms. They don't have the same variable. So we just kind of list it out as follows, like an expression. So we'll have k plus 11s. Okay, so that's what we have at this point. We still want to get this r by itself. It's being multiplied by 5. So that means we are going to divide by 5. So that cancels out and gives us our r by itself, which we're trying to solve for. And we're going to divide the left side by 5, because whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. So we end up with this expression right here. K, I gotta write it. K plus 11s all over 5. And we can't really simplify that anymore. There's nothing we can do. So this is our final answer. It looks like that. All we did was manipulate the equation so that we have solved for r, or got the r by itself. All right, so here's a second example. This one, we have another equation that has more than one variable in it. We have an s and an n, and they're asking us to solve for n. So again, we want to isolate for this variable n and get it by itself, but we have all this stuff over here. So once again, let's go ahead and separate it into two sides, the right side and the left side. So we want the right side to have n all by itself. So we're going to go ahead. There's a couple things we could do. I notice that we have this 180 being multiplied times this quantity n minus 2. So I can either, some students usually see, let me distribute to get rid of the parentheses. But me personally, I like to just, since it's already separated or outside, I'm going to go ahead and divide this whole side by 180. Because if I divide the whole side by 180, the 180s will cancel out right there, leaving us with just n minus 2 on the right. And the parentheses are gone. Okay, but whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I'm going to have to divide the s by 180. So once again, I'm not going to get an actual value, but I'm going to get an expression. So s over 180, or s divided by 180. We still want to get this n by itself, but this n has a minus 2 attached to it. So to cancel or that minus 2, we're going to add 2. So I want to add 2 here, and I'm going to add 2 to the left side. Okay, so let me give me some space right here, move it up a little bit. So what I'm going to end up with is n on the right hand side, n all by itself right there. And this section over here, the left side, there are no like terms. This is a s divided, that's not a 5, but it's a s divided by 180 being added by 2. These cannot be combined, so we just leave it the way it is or list it out like an expression. So I'm going to put s divided by 180, and then that is going to add 2. So this is going to be our final answer right there. I have solved for n, or isolated the equation for the variable n.